Harlan Jeffers was using his red and blue emergency lights to move traffic on the highway. Little did he know that he was making one of the worst mistakes of his life, because while Harlan was cruising on his white Nissan and acting like an officer of the law, another motorist had been watching him before eventually notifying the police. Not long after, Spark police officials caught up with Harlan to get an explanation about what was going on.
So you're a chaplain, you're not sworn law enforcement?
Yes, I am. It says it on my card.
You're the chaplain?
I'm a senior chaplain, yes.
Harlan explained to the officers that while he wasn't exactly a policeman, he did work for the police department as a chaplain. For context, the Sparks Police Chaplain Corps is made up of local clergies of various religions who volunteer their services to the police department to provide guidance to members of the department and community during times of crisis or any difficult time. Chaplains, like police officials, are given a badge but are not allowed to have red or blue lights in their car.
How long you know Sparks?
I've been with the department for about 3 years. 9 years? Pretty close to that.
After a few rounds of questioning, the officials decided to detain Harlan for some time as they tried to get a full picture of the situation at hand.
Let's walk over here, sir. You have it?
I've not, no.
Okay. Walk over here. All right, you're currently detained right now, okay, until we figure out what's going on. Separate.
Just as the officer took Harlan away, the 79-year-old realized that things were quickly escalating out of control. Defending himself, Harlan admitted to using his reds and blues on several occasions, but he claimed to only do it when there's an accident or in time of an emergency.
I generally turn my lights on.
You turn your lights on?
When I'm called out, generally if it's a catastrophe, a major accident.
But the officers weren't buying his excuse, especially since Sparks Police Department, where Harlan worked, confirmed to the officials that Harlan had no police authority or authorization by any agency to have red and blue lighting in his personal vehicle. After Harlan was put in the car, the officer proceeded to speak to the witness who had initially brought their attention to Harlan's recklessness.
Hello.
How's it going, sir?
Pretty good. How are you? Thanks for the So what all did you see?
He came flying. I was in the left-hand lane on 395 heading home from work in Reno.
So he's coming out of Gardnerville area-ish?
No. 395 from Reno.
From Reno, sorry.
And he came flying up behind me. I'll admit, I was doing around 77 and 70.
All right.
He comes flying up, and he slows down, then he throws on his cherries. And he moves me over to the side of the road. The moment I get over to the shoulder, he zips back over and speeds up.
Okay. Was other vehicles yielding too?
Other vehicles were in the right. I was passing someone.
Okay.
There was no one that I saw. I barely even saw the cherries because this thing's in my way.
Right. That's a pretty big setup there.
yeah. You know, for when my Jeep can't make it up, pull that. I just wanted a kid. And then I started following him, and I realized he was trying to shake me because he would speed up. The moment I would get next to him, he would slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So I called dispatch. They put me through you guys, and then I just followed him here.
How many other times did he use the red and blues that you saw?
He only has them on the front.
Right.
I did see the reflection on his window like 3 or 4 times as we were going.
Okay.
That's how he got so far ahead of me at one point.
So you do think he used them other times?
Oh, yeah.
After getting the witness statement, the officer proceeded to explain the situation to his partner. It's here that we find out Harlan was using his reds and blues to skip past traffic.
So the guy over there, the witness, he's working on the statement. He's got dash cam, and he says that he's coming out of Reno, 395, and he's in the passing lane, the witness, and he comes up behind him, activates his red and blues. He yields over to the shoulder, and then he takes off. He's like, yeah, he thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then he kind of came up and continued following him, gave us a call. And then he said he was just like a driving pattern was kind of different, like he'd speed up and then he'd slow down. He said his words were like trying to shake him. And I said, did you see him use the lights any other times? And he says, I couldn't see them very easily because he was in front of me and I was following. But he said he felt that at least maybe 2 or 3 other times that
he saw the red blues?
Because he yielded to him.
So he yielded to him?
To get out of the way.
Oh, okay.
So he gets out of it because he's in the fast lane. He's passing other vehicles.
Okay.
Truck comes up behind him, gets him to move over, which he does, and he's like, that's weird. And then he kind of followed it. And he thinks maybe 2 or 3 other times between all of this that he saw the red lights, blues come on like a reflection off of another car. But
Well,
That's the best
he
he could
saw
say.
him do it to him, which
Yep.
was good enough, and he admitted to using them. And
Yeah,
he just put them in last week. And he says, he's like, I am a sworn. I'm like, you're not a sworn police officer.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
You're a sworn chaplain with
Yeah.
the Clark Police Department.
it's one of those like, hey, it's more of this has been bestowed upon you
Yeah.
out of a vote of respect,
Yeah.
not that you have law enforcement powers.
Yeah.
More police officials arrived at the scene, and after gathering enough evidence, the officers moved to confiscate Harlan's badge.
Physically just take this.
And the bat and the
Take
shield.
pictures of it already?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So take the badge out of there, we'll leave his wallet with his property.
In one moment of madness, Harlan, a 79-year-old chaplain who should be upholding the law, not breaking it, had lost everything: his reputation, his position in the community, and finally, his job. Harlan was later arrested and charged with the equipment violation of red and blue lights and impersonating a police officer. It all started around 5:15 p.m. on the 31st of July 2023, Florida State. An officer of the law had stopped to buy gas when he heard an unfamiliar siren noise. So he looked up for the source of the sound, and that's when he saw a black pickup truck flashing red and blue emergency lights. Now, this was strange, especially because the officer knew there were no calls for service in the area that required that level of response. So he got in his vehicle and caught up with the truck to find out who the officer was and why the officer was in such a hurry. Little did he know, he was in for a big discovery.
See your other hand for me? Where are you headed to?
The driver identified himself as 52-year-old Derry Lambert, was wearing a black hat with the words Police U.S. Marshal on it, and even showed a badge to prove it.
Where are you headed to? A shooting in Marion Oaks? Okay, 10th floor.
Derry claimed that there was a shooting in Marion Oaks, saying that it was where he was headed in such a hurry before the officer stopped him. The officer then went to verify his claims and came back with even more questions.
Hey, sir, so the vehicle is your vehicle, is that correct? Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I'm looking for something to verify that you're a U.S. Marshal, all right?
Went to voicemail, so I left him a message.
Okay.
I got to go back to shift in about 2 hours. So
Where's shift at? Where's
I got to
shift
get
at?
my car.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, hopefully we can get this resolved really quickly. All right, thanks.
Derry initially claimed he was in a rush because there was a shooting in Marion Oaks, and then said he had a shift in 2 hours. Not only was it strange because if there was indeed a shooting that happened that he was supposed to get to, he would have been worried, or in fact angry, that the officer wasn't allowing him to perform his duty and potentially save lives. Instead, Derry changed his story, saying he was in a hurry to go to a shift he had in 2 hours. Something wasn't adding up. However, things were about to get even more complicated.
Hey, I've got somebody on the phone who wants to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Sir, what is your name?
Derry Lambert.
Okay, what district do you work out of?
I work out of Texas, but they got me down. They got me down in Florida right now, looking into Marion Oaks. There's two gangs out there that are riding on a four-wheeler with a pole on it, busting into people's houses.
Okay.
And they got a call, so I chased.
Work out of?
What's that?
What district in Texas do you work out of?
Dallas.
Okay.
My second
I
house.
understand that's a federal crime.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Once again, Derry's story wasn't adding up. First, he said he worked in Texas but came to Florida to operate a case a Florida marshal could have easily been assigned to. Derry was lying through his teeth. The officer knew it, and Derry himself knew it. But what Derry didn't know, or had probably failed to realize, is that there's only so far your lies can take you.
All right, do me a favor. Just go ahead and turn around for me. Then put your hands behind your back.
For what?
I'll explain it to you.
I've been the rest of my life.
Well, and who do you work for? Who are you employed by?
United States Marshal Service.
U.S. Marshals. Okay. You told me that you don't have your credentials with you, but they're in your
My charger.
charger, a work vehicle.
Right.
Okay. Who's the charger registered to?
It's registered to the Marshal Service.
Marshals. Okay.
That's my personal vehicle.
So why would the marshals outfit your personal vehicle with lights and sirens?
In Texas, it's not like here.
Okay.
You don't have cars like this.
We have a Florida tag.
I know.
Moments after Derry was arrested, an actual U.S. Marshal was brought to the scene to fully expose the fraud he is.
Hey, how long you worked for the U.S. Marshals?
About 3 years.
3 years? Okay.
Going on.
I'm sorry?
I'm finishing up at Votech with Lacucci right now to go to work for Marion County. So.
To do what?
Maybe Derry believed his own lies. Maybe he thought that by telling more lies, the officers would be impressed and eventually release him. Whatever it was, the truth is this. The more lies Derry told, the more he dug his own grave.
Coming down the road, I get a call on my cell phone. Hey, they see the four-wheeler out there on the drone. Can you come help us?
Who's that?
So
Who called you?
My squad in Texas. If you look through my phone, you'll see the 941 area code.
By squad, what do you mean by squad?
They sent 3 or 4 of us down here.
Who is they?
The Rangers.
The Rangers? Which Rangers? Like the baseball team?
No, hell no.
Okay, so what Rangers?
The Marshals.
The Marshals?
Yeah.
So what, where do you work out of Texas?
Dallas.
Dallas?
Yes.
What's your district?
District. What do you mean?
If you're a U.S. Marshal,
It's
you
called
would know your district.
641.
641? Okay.
That's our squad.
Okay.
But there's only a few of us here.
A few of you? Would I be one of those?
No.
I'm not a U.S. Marshal?
I don't know. I see a badge.
Well, here's my credentials. I am actually a Special Deputy U.S. Marshal.
Yeah.
Here are my credentials.
Yeah. Mine are in my car.
I would say probably not. Because I'm asking you very easy questions to be able to identify yourself, and you're not.
At this point, it's probably clear to you that Derry is not a U.S. Marshal. To be fair, it's probably been clear since the start of this video. But why? Why was Derry so adamant on pretending to be a U.S. Marshal that he was willing to risk a jail sentence to pretend and constantly lie that he was one?
Who's your supervisor?
My supervisor?
Yes, sir. Your direct supervisor.
Jim Willis.
Jim Willis?
Yeah.
What do you do for the United States Marshals?
Well, I normally just do raids.
Raids?
Yeah.
Okay, who do you work for?
I just told you twice.
Like, okay, so where do you work for the Fugitive Task Force? Do you work for the District Marshals?
No,
Who do you work for?
I work for the task force.
You work for the task force?
Like people running, we do raids. All I do is raids.
Okay, listen to me for just a second. I'm going to give you a little bit of an out or whatever.
Right.
I know you're not a U.S. Marshal. I'm a U.S. Marshal.
Right.
I know for a fact, 100%, you are not with the U.S. Marshals. Okay? So I would just want to know why you would try to identify as a U.S. Marshal. Was it to, like, get around traffic?
No.
Okay, so what were you trying to do?
I told you twice. I was responding to a call.
With the U.S. Marshals?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't know about the drones out there flying over?
Sir, there is nothing like that. I'm gonna give you a little tip, pro tip. Okay? There's only 3 of us in this county. You are not one of the other 2.
The officers then put all the evidence they had together, and Derry Lambert was arrested and charged with false impersonation of a law enforcement officer, unlawful use of blue lights, unlawful use of a badge, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, possession of diazepam, and introduction of contraband into a detention facility. It's safe to say Derry won't be getting out anytime soon.